Greetings everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is July the IT guy and I'm back here with another packet tracer lab. This lab is 3.3.12 and it is for VLAN configuration. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We have the addressing table here with each end device and its corresponding IP address and subnet mask along with the allocated VLANs. Alright, so the objectives here are listed as Part 1, verify the default VLAN configuration, Part 2, configure VLANs, and Part 3, assign VLANs to ports. Alright, so a little bit of the background. VLANs are helpful in the administration of logical groups, allowing members of a group to be easily moved, changed, or added. This activity focuses on creating and naming VLANs and assigning access ports to specific VLANs. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the actual configuration. So part 1, view the default VLAN configuration. So step 1, display the current VLANs. Alright, so how do we do that? Okay, on switch S1, issue the command that displays all VLANs configured. By default, all interfaces are assigned to VLAN 1. Alright, so how do we check? Alright, let's go over to the lab, switch 1. Alright, so it brings up the command line interface. The switch is already powered on. Click enter. It takes us to user exec mode, and then to verify which VLANs are configured, we simply input the show VLAN brief command, and we can see, as stated, VLAN 1 is by default configured, and ports 1 through 24 fast Ethernet ports are assigned to VLAN 1, along with the 2 gigabit Ethernet ports 0, 1, and 2. Alright, so we've confirmed that. Now, step 2, verify connectivity between PCs on the same network. Notice that each PC can ping the other PC that shares the same subnet. Alright, let's go ahead and verify that. Close this out. And we're going to start with PC1, pinging over to PC4. Click on PC1. Let's open up the command prompt. And let's ping PC4. In this case, it is 172.17.20.24. Alright, we are getting responses confirming we are able to reach PC4. Closing this and moving on to PC2. Alright, PC2, command prompt, same scenario, ping over to PC5, in this case 172.17.20.25. Confirm, we are getting responses. And then lastly, PC3 to PC5, PC6. Alright, so command prompt, ping, what's the IP here? Let's take a look, 172.17.30.26. Alright, so we are getting ping responses or echo responses to our ping. Alright, that's confirmed. Alright, so pings to host on the other networks failed. Alright, so then there's a question here. So what benefits can VLANs provide to the network? Alright, so in this case, VLANs significantly enhance network performance and security by dividing a single physical network into multiple isolated logical networks, effectively reducing the broadcast traffic. So they also provide administrators with incredibly flexibility, making it easy to group devices by function or department regardless of where they are physically plugged in. Alright, so part 2, configure VLANs. Alright, so now we're getting to the configuration part. Step 1, create and name VLANs on switch 1. Step A, create the following VLANs. Names are case sensitive, alright, and must match the requirement exactly. Alright, so it's letting us know that these are case sensitive, so it has to be exactly as listed on the instructions. Alright, so let's go over to switch 1. Here we are. The command line interface is already on, and we are on user exec mode. Since we're going to configure, we need to escalate to privilege exec mode by entering enable command, config T for configuration or global configuration mode. Here we are, and let's start with VLAN 10. Command is to create the VLAN is simply VLAN and then the number that we're assigning to that VLAN. So in this case, VLAN 10. And then we need to name it faculty/staff. So name is the command, and then faculty/staff. VLAN 20, name students. VLAN 30, name guest default. VLAN 99, name management and native. VLAN 150, name is voice. All right. Moving on to step 2, verify VLAN configuration. All right, so which command will only display the VLAN name, status, and associated ports on a switch? In this case, let's end this interface, and the command will be show VLAN brief. There we have it. So as we previously saw, VLAN 1 by default is configured, but now it is indicating the VLANs that we just created, 10, 20, 30, 99, and 150. All right, so that's confirmed. Step 4, verify the VLAN configuration. Also, now we're moving on to part 3, assign VLANs to ports. Now we're going to be assigning those interfaces or ports to specific VLANs. So configure the interfaces as access ports. All right, so we need to configure them as access ports and assign VLANs as follows. So on switch 2, let's close switch 1 out, switch 2, enter, and let's start with, let's see here, VLAN 10 on interface fast Ethernet /11. So again, enable to enter privilege exec mode and then config T for global configuration mode. And then let's start. Let's go to interface fast Ethernet 0/11. And as you guys can see, we can shortcut the commands. If I enter IN and then select the tab button, it will autofill the rest of the command. So IN tab produces interface, and then FA tab produces fast Ethernet. All right, so we need to configure that as an access port, as a mode access port. So the command will be switch port mode access, and then switch port access VLAN 10. All right, so this switch does not have VLAN 10 configured, that therefore is creating that VLAN for us. Now we need to create VLAN 20 and assign it to fast Ethernet 018. So let's exit this interface and enter fast Ethernet 018. Switch port mode access and assign it to VLAN 20. So switch port access VLAN 20. And lastly, exit this interface and enter interface fast Ethernet 0/6. Switch port mode is access, and switch port access on VLAN 30. All right, perfect. So that is completed. So now step 2, assign VLANs to the active ports on switch 3. All right, close this out. Switch 3 uses the same VLAN access port assignment as switch 2. Configure the interfaces as access ports and assign the VLANs as follows. All right, so here we go. Switch 3, enter, enable config T for configuration, global configuration mode. In this case, let's go ahead and create those VLANs. So let's do VLAN 10, and this was named, let's take a look, faculty and staff. Then VLAN 20, name students. VLAN 30, name guest and default. VLAN 99, name is management and native. And VLAN 150, name is boys. All right, so let's go ahead and end here. Okay, so I see here we skipped this step here. Step 1, assign VLANs to active ports on switch 2. Alright, so let's close this one out. We've created VLANs on switch 3, so let's go back to switch 2. And in this case, and let's go enable config T. And we are on interface. Oh no, we've already completed this actually. Alright, so let's move on. I was looking at this one here. Step 3. Okay, so on step 3, assign the voice VLAN to fast Ethernet 11 on switch 3. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. So as shown in the topology, the switch 3 fast Ethernet 0/11 interface connects to a Cisco IP phone and PC4. Let's verify that that is correct. So here we have the interface fast Ethernet 0/11 to a Cisco IP phone and to a PC4. All right. The IP phone contains the integrated 3-port 10/100 Ethernet switch. One port of the phone is labeled switch and connects to fast Ethernet 04. Another port on the phone is labeled PC and connects to the PC4. The IP phone also has an internal port that connects to the IP phone functions. The switch 3 fast Ethernet 4/11 interface must be configured to support user traffic to PC4 using VLAN 10. All right, and voice traffic to the IP phone using VLAN 150. The interface must also enable QoS, which is quality of service, and trust the class of service COS values assigned by the IP phone. IP voice traffic requires a minimum amount of throughput to support acceptable voice communication quality. This command helps the switch port provide this minimum amount of throughput. All right, so in this case, here's the command for configuration. So let's go over to switch 3 on the lab and config T. Excuse me. All right, so let's go to that interface, fast Ethernet 0/11. The command will be MLS QoS trust COS. Okay, so it's giving us an error. MLS QoS trust COS. There we go. Oh, okay, there was a typo. I see it now. All right, so now switch port voice VLAN 150. All right, so we are good. And now let's end this interface. Last step 4, verify loss of connectivity. So previously, PCs that share the same network could ping each other successfully. Study the output from the following command on switch 2 and answer. So switch 2 and answer the following questions based on your knowledge of communication between VLANs. Pay close attention to the gigabit Ethernet 0/1 port assignment. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Show VLAN brief. Show VLAN brief. So there you go. All right, so in this case, VLAN 10 is assigned to fast Ethernet 11. Port 20 is assigned to fast Ethernet 04/18, and VLAN 30 is assigned to fast Ethernet 0/16. What I see here is that the naming conventions of each VLAN is not listed, so it's the default name. So let's go ahead and change those. Let's go enter global configuration mode by entering config T, and let's go to VLAN 10 and let's give it the appropriate names. And it's missing VLAN 99 and 150, so we need to create those. VLAN 10 is named, let's see, what is it? Faculty and staff. So let's name it faculty and staff. All right, so then also VLAN 20. Let's give it an appropriate name, which is students. VLAN, 30, name guest. Default. VLAN 99, name management and native, and VLAN 150, which is name voice. All right. So there we have it. Now let's take a look at the rest. So these are already completed. I see. Now let's go to switch 1 and see. No, switch 3. See if we're missing any of these. Switch 3. Now let's do show VLAN brief or brief command, and we have here we have all the VLANs, but they are not assigned to any specific interface. So in this case, let's see, switch 3. Let's assign switch 3. So in this case, we need to assign fast Ethernet 11. That interface, oh, it's already assigned to voice. Is it a corresponding one? And then PC5. So PC5 is assigned to VLAN 20. So it's an interface fast Ethernet 18. So let's go ahead and config T. Config T to enter global config mode, and now we will be entering interface fast Ethernet 0. In this case again, this interface going to pointing PC5. PC5 is listed as on VLAN 20. So let's go ahead and assign it to VLAN 20. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. All right, and then we saw, in this case, let's end this and let's see show VLAN brief again and see what else is missing. So I see that these two VLANs are not assigned. So VLAN 10 is assigned to PC, what is it? PC1. PC6 is assigned to VLAN 30. So let's go ahead and assign VLAN 30 to PC6, and that one's going out of fast Ethernet 06 interface. So back to config, global configuration mode. Let's enter that interface, fast Ethernet 0/6. Give it the switch access mode, so or switch port mode access, and then switch port access through VLAN. We said VLAN 30. All right. So that is completed. Now let's end this and do another show VLAN brief and see if we're missing anything else. No, so this one's complete. All right, so now let's take a look at switch 1. Config team, and then do show VLAN brief. Oh, that's another thing to point out. If you are in global configuration mode and want to do one of the show commands, you can by simply putting a prefix of do, and it'll show it. So in this case, switch 1 is good. We're missing something because we are at 95%. So I'm trying to figure out what is it that we're missing. VLAN 1, 10, 20, 30, 99, and 150. Yeah, so that's complete. We've completed switch 3. So let's see here, switch 3. All right, so switch 3, let's just verify that fast Ethernet 0-11 is properly configured. So let's do this, config T, interface fast Ethernet 0-11, switch port access, mode access, switch port access on VLAN 10. Alright, so yeah, PC4, VLAN 10. Yep. And then MLS, QoS, trust, COS. And we need to assign it to switch port voice VLAN 150. There we have it. And And that's it. We are completed. So let's close this out. It shows here completion rate is 100. All right, so we are fully completed. Assessment 100%. And this is switch 1. VLANs are all checked. Switch 2 all checked. And switch 3 all checked. Thank you for joining me today on my journey to acquiring the CCNA certification. Hope this helps you guys and join me on this technical journey in acquiring the CCNA certification. Thank you guys and have a great day. Bye bye.